Okay, I'm back again. Don't need these. I thought I'm feeling a little tight. I'm going to be getting in the car sometime early this tomorrow morning or late tonight, whatever. Um, and I should do some more stretching. That's all I've been doing while I've been out and about and driving, and I haven't been doing enough. I would bet that means you're not doing enough. So let's stretch. I just happen to be out here. It's a little chilly. I think it's supposed to be mid 40s, upper 40s right now. I don't know. A little breeze, a little chill, but the sun feels good. Um, we talk about stretching hips all the time. We talk about hands, maybe not enough, but a lot. Even feet, um, but shoulders, and the whole upper body. I mean, one of the better stretches you can do for that, if you get a stability ball, is to lay backwards over the ball, right? We've all seen that. But one of the things that you can do, and you can be standing, kneeling, you can get up from the desk and just kind of reach back, release those fingers, right? Straighten the elbows, and then let the shoulders just keep rolling back. And a lot of times, and if you're a yogi, you might sort of recognize this as Camel. I'm just laying my head back as I can, trying to fill the belly with air. Big stretch, keeping the elbows straight, squeezing the triceps, stretching the biceps, squeezing the glutes, stretching the hip flexors and the abs. So gently find your way out of that. But that's a good one just all day, any day, just, and it's one of those areas we need to stretch more. We all know that. This is everybody's favorite shoulder stretch. Probably a little counterproductive. Sort of like my hamstrings are tight. Well, your hamstrings are tight because your hip flexors are tight. So if we stretch these, it'll take the slack off there and release your lower back. Same thing's true here. If we can kind of open up all this front musculature, because we talk about this all the time, but we're here. We live in this crunched up posture with everything, and we need to undo that as often as we can, right? So I'm gonna, obligatory kneeling hip flexor stretches, right? So I've got my left knee down, right knee at 45 at a 90-degree angle rather. My toes are tucked under. They could be flat. I could have my foot up, or I could even be pulling on this with a band or a strap or up against a couch. But we don't generally need that. What we need is to focus on squeezing the butt cheek right there, that glute, as tight as we can. And you should feel your hip tip up, right? So it's probably here, it's going to tip up, and that's what you want. And that'll instantly start that stretch. I think I've said this a gazillion times now. And then, from here, you can move forward, but don't fall into it. Keep the glute squeezed. That's where the stretch comes from. This forces this to happen. Now, from here, nice and tall. Pull the shoulders back. Reach up. Fill the belly with air on all your breaths. Think in through the nose, out through the mouth, but fill the belly as much as you can on each breath, regardless of where you are in your stretch. Now I'm going to kind of lean across, and I'm reaching my arm long. I'm not just folding over, but I'm reaching high. I'm going to try and touch the sun, still squeezing the glute, and still trying to fill the belly on each breath. I'm just going to open a little bit because it feels like the right thing to do. You could go the other way, but do it gently. Keep the glutes squeezed. But that felt really good. And I'm going to hold this a little bit longer because it feels really, really good. I'm still reaching up, still squeezing the glute. Stretch is tremendous through the hip and the waist. And of course, same thing on the other side. And just for a little bit of a change in angle, I'll kind of face the camera so you can see that I'm not just flopping over, but I'm actually reaching tall, right? So the setup's the same. I'm going to get my hips set. I'm going to get that pelvis tilted up, squeezing the glute. Lift the chest, pull the shoulders back, and then I'm going to reach up. to start to reach across towards the trees, not towards the lawn, up. So I'm increasing the distance here, stretching from the hip all the way through the shoulder, through the ribs. I'm going to open that up, a little sunshine there. Feel like your knee's collapsing here, hold it open, squeeze the glute harder, but stay stable. Big difference this side to that. Generally, my recommendation would be to come back and give the extra, the tough side a little bit of love. So if you notice the difference while you were doing these, maybe go back and floss a little bit deeper on that sticky side. And I'm making this a little bit dynamic. I'm moving around a little bit with it, kind of reaching into the itty bitty corners. That's what flossing talks about. Some physical therapists call it exactly that. So, feeling pretty good there. Nice and loose. And I'm going to do some more bridge work. I'm trying to get my full bridge back and my lotus, which I never really had. I had a half lotus once. But the short bridge. Short bridge looks a little bit like a glute bridge, except that we're going to do that same thing with our arms and our hands. So we're going to interlace the fingers underneath our body and press our arms into the floor. So in the short bridge, you're going to be set up with your feet, like so. Maybe be able to touch your heels, give or take. Right? And I still like to pull the toes up. This is still a glute bridge, so drive through your heels, and we're going to bridge up. Right? Nice pelvic tilt. Make sure the tailbone is tucked under. Right? Tight glutes. Low belly should be tight and flat. And I'm just going to keep driving that up. And then from here, we get the hands underneath. I'm going to interlace my fingers. I'm going to squeeze the shoulders, or the elbows straight, and the shoulders start to roll under. And I'm actually going to pivot up on one shoulder than the other. And I'm trying to get my shoulder blades to touch. And I'm actually going to push myself a little further with the glutes and start breathing. In through the nose and out through the mouth, filling the belly, keeping the hands and the arms squeezed into the floor. And if you feel like things are opening up a little bit, you can try to roll those shoulders even closer and tighter together. The idea of pulling your collarbones further apart may help you. Think of it that way. And we could hold that for as long as we want. I mean, yoga teacher might make us stay there for 5-10 minutes. But, so if that was uncomfortable, work on it. It's shoulder mobility. If you're having trouble with things like the medicine ball pass around the body, or those figure eights sometimes, it could be shoulder issues, which most of us have. So, anyway, now I do want to work a little bit on, not so much, well, it does help with sitting. Doesn't seem like it should, but the idea that our legs are supposed to be able to kind of drop flat here seems crazy, but it's true. And of course, I'm nowhere near that. So we have this little guy, and what I do maybe different here is once I get my feet together, I'm gonna use my hands and my arms, pry myself in, I'm gonna pull myself so that my heels are almost touching my butt. Maybe they are just about, right? And then using again my arms and back, I'm gonna pull myself up and lift as tall as I can. So now I'm pulling all of this, and you start to fold out a little bit. And then I'm going to squeeze my glutes and pull and ease down and try and sit a little bit taller. And then find some breaths. Still squeezing the glutes, still trying to pull my knees towards the ground. And I feel stretches in weird places. I can't answer the question, where should I feel this? Because it's going to be different. Like, are you feeling it here? I'm not feeling it here, but I'm feeling it here on the outside of my shin. I'm feeling a weird pull. I'm trying to get a little bit closer here. Okay, that went away. Now, your head and neck are, attached to all this. Your neck should be fairly relaxed right now, is it? Can you really move moving around. Attempt so gently, just in case you're all jacked up. You don't want to hurt yourself, right? So this is one of the things I use to start getting my body ready for the things like lotus. But let's explore the tactical frog, or the frog, not the crunch. So the frog stretch, we're going to do from a kneeling position. And the idea here is to get your knees as wide as you can on the floor, and your feet kind of like so. Feet are out flat, and we're just going to keep sliding those knees apart as wide as we can go. If you're really crazy and insane, super hyper flexible, you could put a towel under the knees and on a hardwood floor and it would slide. I don't want to chance that, but I get them as wide as I can. I'm going to come down on my elbows. Now from here, I want you to think a little bit about your pelvic tilt and try to line that up. And then you're going to push backwards. Back is where it's at in the stretch. So I'm just going to push my hips towards my heels. Try not to lose my pelvic tilt. Find a deep stretch. I'm going to hold this and breathe. I've got a good amount of pressure. I'm pushing, from my hands and arms back into that stretch. So I'm pushing, not to a point of excruciating pain, but into a good deep stretch. Nothing to make you cry. Shouldn't be screaming at anything. Should be a nice stretch. After a few deep belly breaths, things may loosen up and maybe able to try and push back a little further. It might be a millimeter, it might be a half an inch, doesn't matter. Just try to push a little deeper here. And we can also try to get the knees a little bit wider. Maybe rock forward a little bit, see if it'll spread out a little bit. I got maybe a little bit, maybe a half an inch, quarter inch, something like that. And then we're going to push back again. Pay attention to your pelvic tilt. You want the back to pop up or arch excessively. You want neutral pelvis. And then push back and keep the pelvis neutral. There's the trick with that. Don't let your back go crazy. The back is basically in its neutral or almost neutral lumbar curve. Right about there. And then find your breaths. Oh my God. Just gonna rock forward out of that a little bit. Now from here I'm gonna go back to that camel, and you could do a traditional camel, which might look like a big reach back, whatever, but you're gonna end up resting your hands on your heels and back. I'm just gonna go into that version where I kind of clasp my fingers, lock out, and then I rest the backs of my hands down. Squeezing the glutes, pressing the hips forward. All right, so I'm feeling pretty loose. If you have a stability ball, instead of doing a traditional yoga savasana, what I would do is get that ball out and lay over it on my back and try to get the sensation that everything is falling away from the middle of my body. Right? So you'll be over the ball like that, and you want to kind of find that midpoint. Just everything is going either south or north. Arms, all the weight dropping through your feet. Get your legs straight. If you keep your legs wide, you'll stay balanced. But just try to relax there. And when you find that balance point, that relaxation, start to breathe through the belly. And really focus on full breaths and see if you don't feel some fun releases in your back or your hips or both. As you get the diaphragm to fully engage and actually stop spasming and relax, as you get the pelvic floor to do the same, muscles in the hips, the lumbar back, mid-back will all open up. So you may feel some really interesting stuff in there. Spend as much time in that position as you can. You may find that it's yummy enough that you want to do it every day for a few minutes. So that would be my just a quick, short little, stretch out a little bit. It's a routine I can do, when I'm on the road, easy enough. Sometimes I abbreviate even that, just focus on the hips, but I do have to stretch. Sitting is uncomfortable. So, for all of you, those of you that sit, grab a cup of something and go stretch. Peace.